Now, hold on. Before we start the show, real quick, I know y'all lost more money on y'all parlay. All I ask is this, man. Hit that subscribe and hit the bell. It's free. I promise you it ain't cost you nothing to support somebody. I'm just trying to reach 100K subscribers. Let's get to the video.
Yeah. Can you believe they told me that I would never make it? Now we smiling in their faces,
So it's no surprise Gilbert Arenas is probably a part of the Clutch Sports payroll at this point. We've seen Rich Paul appearances on the show. And unfortunately, when we do see these things, we have to think to ourselves, do you really mean it, or are you just talking out your butt because you know you about to get that check? It's hard to tell, and I hate when people sell out, but it's unfortunate. But we're going to get into this take, and I'm going to kill Gil real quick.
T-Mac didn't compare himself to Kobe.
Replace me with Kobe with Shaq. I don't win a championship.
If you're good enough to be up 3-1, they expected you to close the deal. That was the only thing
Kobe's
anybody
never been
ever
up
said.
3-1.
The only thing
Kobe's
anybody
never
ever
been up
said.
3-1.
And all that. He's just saying the structure of the Lakers at that moment in time, Phil Jackson, Rick Fox, that team, he could have pulled out at least one ring. That's it. Right? Ring culture, the argument with ring culture is how they do the list versus what they say doesn't make sense. And that's why people say ring culture is a lie, because you guys are not consistent across the board and we don't know the criteria as a group. For us to look at this and say, okay, this makes sense. But if we look at the top 75, we look at the list like, Kobe got 5, Shaq got 4, Oscar Robertson has 1. That don't make sense. The top 75 list lets you know they don't give a fuck about you as a second option nor as a third, right? So what you do as an individual is more important than if you're a second option ring getter in the media's mind.
See, the biggest problem I have with this statement is that as good as Tony Parker and Paul Gasol or even Klay Thompson were, we are in no shape or form calling them all-time great superstars. They were all-time great all-star level players, but we never looked at those guys as number one options on championship rosters. So yes, rings matter. And in the same breath, if you win a ring and you aren't a number one option, that doesn't take away from the fact that you are a champion. But we can evaluate you by the eye test that you couldn't be the number one guy on the championship level team. Therefore, Paul Gasol, as good as he was, never taking his chips away, he was not as good as Tim Duncan or KG. He was not that caliber of a power forward. Whereas KG and Tim Duncan, they could win championships being the number one option. Paul Gasol couldn't hold that same weight. Now, does that take away from Paul's greatness? Paul Gasol? No, not at all. But just winning a championship doesn't define you are better than a player than someone in your position. There's more to the story. It's your all-time legacy as a superstar, and when you rank amongst other superstars who won championships, accolades, and play the same position as you. It's the whole reason KD is still chasing this ring without Steph. He wants to prove he can win without Steph. And even though KD won 2 finals MVPs with Steph, Steph still won 2 championships without KD's help. And in the sake of someone like Klay, who's up there as a shooting guard, right? But we don't look at Klay as better than Kobe, Jordan, or Dwayne Wade, because even though he has more chips than D Wade, we can acknowledge D Wade as a better player. So if rings don't tell the full story, then you're just a part of the story. Now, in the case of Kobe, even though he was considered the second option in his first 3 championships, he was still putting up option 1 numbers, leading his team in scoring in some seasons, and even being the number 1 option in the fourth quarter. And on top of that, he was leading the team in clutch points and fourth quarter scoring as a second option to Shaquille O'Neal in 2 of the 3 championships. So not all second options are created the same, if you catch my drift. We can't compare a second option like Kobe in the 2000s to a second option like Paul Gasol. So in the three-peat, it was similar to Kyrie and LeBron, right? In 2016, the title run where Kyrie averaged 27 and LeBron averaged 29, Kyrie was no sidekick. He carried just as much weight as LeBron. Just like Kobe and Shaq, they carried this equal amount of weight. They did what they did. They weren't, I'm going to average 30 and you're averaging 15. It was, you were averaging 29, I'm averaging 27. And it's just like comparing Allen Iverson to Steph Curry. We know Allen Iverson as an all-time great player. Now let's give Allen Iverson 3 rings and 3 finals MVPs. I think he goes a little bit higher in his all-time rank because he's a champion and he solidified himself as a champion. But does that take away from Iverson being a great player and probably just as good as a Stephen Curry? No, it doesn't. But we know that championships solidify legacies, and they can really much make you a better player because you were proven to win at the highest level, and we were able to witness that versus you not being able to get that, climb that mountaintop and get that, if you understand my point. And that's the most disgusting part about this ring culture talk, is that it's just another LeBron-led narrative that Gil and the rest of the sports media will try to either run with and defend, or make an effort to make LeBron's legacy look good, or or sit there and really just take it away. Now, we all know the real reason why this ring culture topic comes. It's no mistake that you get to pick and answer questions based on what you want to talk about. So you just so happen to stumble across a ring culture question and saying you don't understand it. But we understand why you went to Miami. We understand why you went back to Cleveland. We understand why you wanted AD on your team. And now why you have Luka on your team, because you want to win and you want to be in the franchise. Even you picked up your player option and then said a statement through your agent that you still want to play for championships. So we understand you're not catching Kobe and you're not catching Jordan when it comes to championship rings. So if I can do a job to make it seem like rings don't mean everything, which you're right, they don't mean everything, but they are a big part of the story. And that's what I'm trying to get across on my platform, is that. And in the case of LeBron, having a losing record in the NBA Finals, when every single GOAT or great player in any sport has a winning record in the biggest game, including your peers like Kobe, Michael Jordan, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson. Now, this does hurt your case. You're playing 23 seasons, and you've only been to that mountaintop 3.5 times, if including the bubble ring. It kind of makes you look bad. So we understand the job you're trying to do to fix the narrative. With that being said, that's all I really got to say. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe and hit the bell, and we can talk about basketball anytime you want. Leave your comment down below and give me your thoughts on this ring culture, man. Rings matter, man. They're a big part of the resume. They don't conclude everything, but damn sure know they are important, and you should understand it if you're definitely chasing chips. I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Peace.